Now, a KXAN News in-depth report.
You might think drunk drivers are the biggest problem on our roads.
But KXAN found out the crime lab at the Texas Department of Public Safety is processing more and more DWI cases involving prescription drugs.
Investigator Robert Maxwell met an Austin man who survived an addiction to Xanax. Only a bad car crash and prison time stopped him and helped turn his life around.
I was a danger to myself on the road. Whenever you drive in that state, I mean, the best possible outcome you can hope for is a wreck for yourself.
Scott Lynch says he would take more than 10 pills a day, every day.
If I even had the smallest sense of my buzz going away, I was doing anything I could to bring the buzz back.
And he was only 17. Scott says he started abusing prescription drugs like Xanax after the thrill of alcohol and marijuana wore off. Then he started combining, looking for that next high. One winter's night in 2006, a week after his birthday, Scott got behind the wheel of his car, ignoring his friend's warnings, and headed for home in East Austin.
At one point, I even remember forgetting that I was driving. For the most part, it was pretty much a blackout. I remember bits and pieces of trying to drive home. Can't even really remember the wreck, to be honest. Just remember cops in my face, talking to me, asking me questions.
Analysts doing this by hand.
The crime lab at the Texas Department of Public Safety says it's not just testing blood samples it receives for alcohol. For the first time, its forensics lab is seeing a significant presence of prescription or illegal drugs. DPS points to the prevalence of police no-refusal operations, which bring in more blood to be analyzed.
So there's now evidence to test for not only for alcohol, but also for drugs, illegal or prescription, that wasn't there before.
In 2010, there were about 6,000 cases. Over the span of 2 years, that was up 18% to more than 7,000.
We're definitely seeing a fair amount of our workload involved in prescription drug testing, and certainly some of the more common drugs, Soma, Xanax, hydrocodone.
The workload is prompting the Austin lab to assign 3 additional personnel and reallocating positions to deal with the demand. And for the next 2 years, the agency's requesting about a dozen additional forensic scientists to analyze blood alcohol in controlled substance cases. A 4-year prison sentence and 2 more years later, Scott says he's clean.
30 milligrams or less of methadone.
Today, this 24-year-old is dedicated to helping other addicts and their families. He works as an admissions specialist at Austin Recovery. But it's not just the hardcore addicts looking for a high who are driving impaired on our roads. Also count the accidentally drug-dependent motorists. That could be anybody in the vehicle next to you or right behind you.
Addiction specialists point out someone who might decide to self-dose this otherwise legally available prescription medicine may decide, too, it's perfectly okay at that point to get behind the wheel of their car with more than the recommended amount of this flooding their system. And that, they say, is where the danger of impairment lies.
Essentially, you're intoxicated.
Absolutely.
As much as if you'd had a number of glasses of wine or spirits.
That's right. You can't be responsible for driving a 4,000-pound vehicle if you don't have the response time and the reaction time.
Debbie Hooks is a nurse manager at Austin Recovery's detox unit. More and more, this nonprofit center is seeing so-called regular people come in, hooked on the meds their doctors originally prescribed.
It's a natural part of their everyday life. I take my vitamin, I take my pain pill, I take, everything I need to take for the day, my blood pressure medication, and then you get in the car. And some people don't even realize that they're impaired.
Now, Nurse Debbie Hooks says she has seen patients at Austin Recovery who were taking up to 30 pills a day of the pain suppressant Vicodin for one. That's 5 times the regular dose. A common explanation, she says, the dosage didn't work anymore, so the patients simply had to take more. Robert and Leslie?
Well, you took an in-depth look at that. How much are those extra workers at the DPS crime lab expected to cost?
Well, they want to hire 11 forensic scientists over the next 2 years or so. That's budgeted at $1.6 million if the legislature approves the request. By the way, we've posted the DPS budget request with this story at KXAN.com, along with the link to Austin Recovery site as well.
Great, Robert. Thanks very much.
All right.